My sister-in-law tried to embarrass me at a party. It backfired and she ended up leaving in shame. Hi, I'm Meg, age 25. I have been married to my husband Jeff, age 27, for 3 years. We met in line at a coffee shop almost 5 years ago. He was in front of me and ordered a large black coffee. The barista looked at him blankly. "Do you mean a venti black coffee?" she asked him, her voice flat. Jeff sighed. "I said large, but if venti is the only way you know how to fill a cup, then sure." He handed her his credit card. The barista stood holding the card, not sure what to say or do next. I burst out laughing, causing Jeff to spin around. "I just want some freaking coffee, you know," he said to me with a little laugh. His smile caught me off guard and his eyes instantly made my knees weak. He asked me out right there, and we were married a little over a year later. We should be living our happily ever after. Unfortunately, his younger sister, Gail, wouldn't let us live our fairy tale life. At first, she wasn't an issue. She was away at some bougie college, so we had very little interaction with her. She didn't even attend our wedding, too busy skiing with friends. When Jeff brought this up to his dad after the wedding, all we got were excuses. That's how Gail is. Jeff's parents told us she's just trying to live her best life. Okay, fine, whatever. Fast forward to last May, when Gail graduated college with a degree in liberal arts. She moved back home, vowing to get her own place as soon as she landed her dream job. But Gail was in no hurry to find a job and support herself. Why get up early and work an 8-hour day when you can sleep in and go shopping with your parents' credit cards? In June, Jeff's parents celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary at a fancy hotel. 100 people holding champagne glasses filled the ballroom. An hour into the party, Gail finally showed up. She barely acknowledged Jeff's parents, her face buried in her phone. When she eventually looked up, she noticed Jeff and I sitting at a table with several other guests. Her face changed, her fake smile dropping, and a look of contempt replacing it. She made her way through the crowd and sat down next to Jeff. He sighed loudly, the sigh of an older brother that's had enough crap from his spoiled sister. "Who's this?" she asked Jeff while clicking her nails in my direction. "You know damn well who this is," my handsome husband shot back. Gail acted surprised, clutching at her invisible pearls. "Oh, I am so sorry." There was sarcasm dripping from her voice. At this point, the other people at our table began to focus on Gail. "You just look so much younger in the wedding photos," she continued, reveling in the attention. "You must have had a fabulous photographer." She smiled, then grabbed Jeff's glass of champagne, finishing it off. "I need another one of these," she said, strolling toward the open bar. All I could muster was, "What the hell?" after she walked off. The other people at the table suddenly became interested in their phones. "She's a bitch," Jeff said casually, munching on a piece of anniversary cake. My next interaction with Gail happened on July 4th at his parents' boat club. We had plans to stay at a cabin for the holiday weekend, but Jeff convinced me to at least make an appearance at the event, so I agreed. I really wish I hadn't. The marina event was full of old money members, very classy and honestly snobby. So I smiled, shook hands, and nodded along to conversations. After things settled down, I actually started to have a good time. Jeff brought me a fruity drink and we sat in the sun, giggling like newlyweds. But the fun didn't last long. "Wow, Meg, you're brave." I looked up. Gail stood in front of us, wearing sunglasses and a ridiculously large sun hat. I could never sit out in the sun like this, baking wrinkles into my face. She looked me up and down, then added, "You may want to slow down on those drinks. They have a lot of sugar and calories." I wanted to say something, stand up for myself, but I remembered a family skirmish would not look good for Jeff's family. So Jeff and I said nothing, excused ourselves from the party, and left. We made it to the cabin that weekend, but the mood was not the same. The rest of the summer was blissfully void of Gail. We did our thing and she did hers. Then summer was over. Halloween came and went. Jeff's parents were set to host Thanksgiving, and of course, Gail would be there. A few days before Thanksgiving, I told Jeff that I didn't like being around his sister. "No one does," he said, chuckling. Upon seeing my face, he got serious. But it's Thanksgiving and my mom loves having her family together. Gail is always late anyway. We just need to get along for like an hour. Then he did the one thing I can't resist, the puppy dog eyes. Please, Meg. My knees wobbled as I agreed. Several dozen aunts, uncles, and cousins gathered at Jeff's parents' house on Thanksgiving. Gail, of course, was late, but she made it just in time for the turkey to be carved. After dinner, Jeff and I settled on a couch, stuffed with turkey and mashed potatoes. Gail found a place in the den, chatting and laughing with cousins. With Gail occupied, Jeff and I decided it was a good time to leave. We found his parents in the kitchen and let them know we were taking off. "What about dessert?" his mom asked, showing us 6 freshly baked pies on the counter. "You guys aren't sneaking out already, are you?" Gail said loudly as she entered the kitchen. She had 3 smirking cousins with her. Pretty rude to just leave. Mom worked hard to make this day happen. That's rich coming from the person who has never been on time in her life. My husband's voice was becoming louder. Then the kitchen went quiet. "Migraine," I said, breaking the uncomfortable silence. Everyone turned toward me. "We're leaving early because I have a bad migraine?" I put a hand to my head, then faced Jeff's mom. Today was perfect. The meal was delicious. "You have outdone yourself this year." Jeff's mom softened. Jeff smiled and nodded in agreement. We left before Gail could say anything else. "Thanks for keeping the peace," Jeff said when we got in the car. We spent the rest of the drive home in silence. That night I couldn't sleep. The thought of spending the next 30 years or more putting up with Gail was mentally exhausting. Her reign of terror needed to stop. I yawned and pulled the blanket up to my chin. Then I felt Jeff sit straight up in bed. "Babe," he shouted into the darkness. I fumbled with the lamp next to the bed. "What?" I said, recoiling from the light. "I think I have an idea," he said with the biggest smile I had ever seen. That night, armed with new information, we came up with a plan. For Christmas, we flew to Florida to visit my parents. It was quiet and drama-free, and made me glad I am an only child. We were back in town by December 27th and spent the next couple of nights snuggled up on the couch. On the 30th, Jeff got a notification from his family group chat. Gail had just won 4 tickets to the huge New Year's Eve party being held downtown. She had been fawning over the sold-out event for months. She filled the chat, bragging about being VIP and heading out to go shopping for the perfect dress. The cousins from Thanksgiving entered the chat, gushing and begging to be part of the group. Gail responded that she was looking for the right amount of beauty and class and would let them know if they made the cut. She followed this with a heart emoji. Jeff smiled when he showed me the group chat. She'll definitely be there. The next day was New Year's Eve. We drove to the event center, going over the plan one more time on the way there. We arrived and took a quiet table in the corner of the VIP area while we waited for Gail to show up. Soon after, Gail and the cousins entered the VIP area. The manager showed them to their table. Gail was wearing a sequin dress and snapping selfies, too wrapped up in herself to notice us. The group ordered a bottle of champagne as a live band started up in an area near the VIP lounge. The cousins jumped up and squealed, running off to the dance floor. With the cousins gone, Jeff and I slid into the seats on either side of Gail. "Fancy meeting you here," Jeff said, pretending to be shocked. Appalled, Gail demanded to know how we got into the VIP area, calling us peasants. She snapped her fingers and called over the manager of the VIP area. Her expression was smug as he approached the table. "Time for you two to be kicked out like trash," she laughed. But her smile was instantly replaced with confusion when the manager walked up and shook Jeff's hand. "Hey man," the manager said. "How have you been?" Gail's mouth fell open. "Do you two know each other?" "Patrick is an old friend of mine." Jeff put an arm around Patrick's shoulder. "We go way back." Patrick nodded. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some business to attend to." He shook Jeff's hand again and stepped out of the room. Gail sat there trying to make sense of what just happened. "What the hell is going on? What are you doing here?" Jeff sat back down next to Gail and held up a yearbook from Miss Porter's school for young ladies. Her smile faltered slightly. "Does this look familiar, Gail?" He set the book on the table. So it's an old yearbook. I was adorable. Always have been. She smoothed her dress, acting annoyed. What do you expect to gain from this? What do I expect? I expect you to leave us alone? I expect you to be civil or be quiet if we have to be in close proximity. I expect you to act like a decent human. Gail rolled her eyes and chuckled. Why should I? Because, dear sister, Jeff said, pulling out a letter that was tucked inside the yearbook. I will show everyone this letter. Her eyes grew wide. Where did you get that? Jeff began to read. This letter is to inform you that your family's association with Miss Porter's school has been terminated due to numerous policy violations involving Gail Gaynor. Stop, Gail pleaded. Jeff set the letter on the table. I will let everyone know who you really are. I'll tell them you didn't leave that school because you were homesick, like Mom and Dad said. He let out a dry laugh. I wonder how much they paid to keep this from their social circle. I'll tell people you were kicked out of school for being a mean girl. He got closer to her face. Not the type of thing employers are looking for. Gail swallowed hard. You wouldn't dare. Her voice was low, with a mix of fear and anger. Jeff stepped back and inhaled. You're right, he said, exhaling calmly. Gail's face filled with confusion. What? You're right, he repeated. I wouldn't dare embarrass you the way you happily embarrass me and my wife. I wouldn't try to make myself feel better by saying cruel, childish things. Gail tried to say something, but Jeff grabbed the expulsion letter and held it out to her. Happy New Year, Gail. His tone of voice was cold as ice. The VIP door opened. Patrick stood there along with the confused cousins. I think it's time for you and your party to leave. This way, please, he said, gesturing toward the door. Shocked, Gail snatched the letter from Jeff's hand, collected her things, and left, holding back tears. Jeff and I left shortly after, and even made it home in time to ring in the new year in our pajamas. Gail moved in with friends across town a week later to be farther away from us, which was fine by me. Of course, Jeff's parents paid her share of the bills, and life moved on. About 6 months ago, a letter arrived in the mail. It was from Gail. The handwritten letter apologized to Jeff for a lifetime of torment. She admitted that Jeff is a good man and how proud she is of him. The letter also included an apology to me. She was sorry she never took the time to get to know me. She regretted treating me poorly, doing it out of jealousy. She went on to say she got a job at a small marketing company, answering phones and attending to the front desk. It wasn't glamorous, but it was work. She finished the letter with her phone number and a plea to call her when we are ready. A few weeks later, we met at a local coffee shop. Gail was already there when we arrived. She stood and waved us over. Her smile was nervous but warm. I am here early, she grinned, sitting back down. Jeff pretended to almost faint, and we all laughed. It took some time, but we're happy having Gail in our lives. She has come a long way and is like the sister I never had. As a matter of fact, I am on my way to have lunch with Gail right now. She doesn't know it yet, but she's going to become an aunt. Subscribe to listen to the next story worth writing.